What is up, Fanatics? It's 8 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means another episode of Home Theater Fanatics Live. Tonight is episode 136, and we have a great episode for you. So today we have Lee Mark, and he's the CEO of MantleMount, and this is a company that builds those cool pull-down flat panel mounts that you see over fireplaces and stuff that makes it actually possible to watch a television when it gets mounted way up like that, which is really cool. So everybody, let's welcome Lee to the show. Hey Lee, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I couldn't be doing much better unless somebody gave me a whole bunch of money, but it's not happening. I'm doing better than Facebook. Um, but
Definitely.
but welcome to the show. Glad to have you on with us. Maybe we can kick off things with a quick description of who you are, and then maybe a little bit about MantleMount, so people kind of know what you guys do.
Absolutely. Well, me personally, I guess I could say for most of my career, I've been a serial entrepreneur who's usually comes up with or finds a product or service that goes from a spark of an idea, it turns into a marketable product, and usually technology driven or
That's cool.
connected. And then I turn it into a company and hire some people, build it into a business, and a couple times I've done that and sold the company. So that's kind of who I am. And MantleMount is I guess my latest venture that I have a couple partners in as well.
That's cool.
Um,
Right on.
so MantleMount,
Yeah, what's the secret sauce here? What do you guys got going on?
well, MantleMount was built to solve a problem. Uh, Basically, it solves the problem of having nowhere to put your TV, but a space perhaps that's too high on the wall, and that's happening a lot. We've got TVs now that are affordably pushing 60 to 80 inches,
Oh, it's
and
it's an awesome time to be alive.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of I mean, some people have super huge mansions, and but the average person's got uh, you know a house or a condo with usually these days, if it's a little bit newer, it's got a family room, and most family rooms have a fireplace, and the more modern homes, they're building them where they've got this kind of um, open concept where there's a kitchen and a family room that are kind of in one way or another like one big room,
Yep. One big
and
room. Yep.
then they've got the fireplace as kind of the focal point of the family room. And usually one wall's open to a kitchen or some other part of the house. Another wall is looking at your backyard. And you really just don't have too many options about where to put your TV
Hmm.
other than kind of over that fireplace. And, so a lot of the newer houses are making these more ornate fireplace mantles, and they're the average fireplace mantle in our country is between 4.5 and 5 feet tall. So
Right.
now you put a 60, 70, 80-inch TV over a 5 foot tall mantle in a room where maybe your sofa's, 10 feet, 10, 15 feet away from the wall, and watching TV's like, sitting in the front row of a movie theater.
Yeah.
It can
It's
cause neck pain.
it's
It
horrible,
can,
is what it is.
yeah.
It's the worst thing you can do is get stuck watching TV like that. It's for me, it's not a functional setup at all. And you guys solve that, right?
Well, yeah, so it really does cause neck pain and sometimes chronic headaches. So yeah, I can't take credit for inventing the mantle mount. I wish I could. I guess the best I could do is take credit for recognizing that it could be something. But the first guy who really did that is one of my business partners. He is an amazing mechanical engineer. I mean, really. The mantle mount, while an amazing feat of engineering in my mind, is a little elementary compared to some of the things that he's done in his life. But
Sure.
he built the product, like many great products, to solve his own problem in his own house. You know, they didn't want the TV. They had a couple of young kids, and they had a TV stand, and it was in a very kind of awkward place in the room. And I've actually seen people put TV stands in front of their fireplace because there's nowhere else for it. And so, but
And
it
then
was,
melt everything in the wintertime.
yeah, they got to move it around. But in his case, he had a couple of kids and he was worried that they would knock it off the stand and that it was a danger to his TV and a danger to his kids. His wife wanted it over the fireplace, but he's like, that's just too high. That's a terrible way to watch. But, aside from it being too high, by the way, most TVs are made to be looked at head on at eye level.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of people have seen it where you see a TV from the side of the room. They're getting better, but oftentimes the picture's just not as crisp or the colors are not as vivid
Oh yeah,
as
your
it is when
off-axis viewing is really rough on televisions. Agreed.
yeah. And so basically he struggled with how do I get this? They don't make TV mounts that come out off the wall and down to eye level. So he decided he went in his garage and he started tinkering and he made one and put it on the wall and then decided he kind of made a functional one then and people would come over and see it and say, hey, can you make one for me?
Right.
And so he made a couple and then he decided to make a kind of a more commercial design version. He had 100 of them manufactured and he was an engineer. He's a smart businessman. But engineering is kind of his first thing.
Right.
And so, but he did do a really great job. He built the product. He put a lot of features in it that were safety oriented and or just functionally things you were going to need that you didn't know you were going to need because no one had ever done this before. So he
Right.
really thought it through. And then he went and on a bit of a shoestring budget. He had a website built. He shot a video with his wife and his kids in it, demonstrating the product. He posted it into kind of a like a group like you have on your website.
Sure. Yep.
And then he had a small budget and he bought some Google ads, and he made 100 units, and he sold out rather quickly.
That's cool.
He didn't make. He really he sold out. It was more of a proof of concept for him. He didn't really make a whole lot of money. He probably broke even. But then he went to a friend of mine who their kids went to school together. And he says, I invented this new thing. I think I have a tiger by the tail. Would you be interested in, loaning me some money or investing in it for me to launch it off the ground? And that friend of mine then came to me. I was in the online business and I had some software services companies and he came to me and he said, I'm thinking about investing in this product. And he showed me a video on his phone. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to share my screen here. And if you'll let me just hit share screen real quick.
Yeah, when that pops up, I'll make sure it gets where it needs to go.
And
while you're doing that, I'm going to shout out to a few people here that are with us today. So, Jason, glad to have you with us today. He says it's very dramatic, and the intro is indeed. We got Bryce with us, his favorite YouTube channel, one of his favorites. I will translate that into his favorite. My Mail's with us. Hey, how you doing? Hi-Fi Haven's on the show. Nameless Facebook user.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's the best. Kevin is with us. He's with GSG Audio. If you like subwoofers, this is the man to talk to because he knows how to do it right. Speaking of engineering, SI Services is with us from all the way down from South Africa and Cape Town. So anyway, everybody, glad to have everyone in the audience today. And let's add this picture to the stream. There we go.
Yeah. So this friend of mine pulls out his phone and he literally shows me this video. This girl's 8 years old. She pulls the TV off the wall, down it. I was like, oh my God. She swivels it over to the couch, plops down, and sits down to watch.
That's cool.
And that was it. I was hooked. I'm like, oh my God. I want one of those. And
now I want a mantle to mount one over. I've always tried to avoid having that issue, but now I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going to go install a fireplace.
Well, a lot of people I have while we call it MantleMount, people put them in all kinds of places. They put them, even though we don't rate it for outdoors, it's got some really great powder coating. People put them in our outdoor patios. They have rooms where the only place they can put a TV is over their sliding glass doors. So it doesn't have to be a mantle necessarily. It's just if you have a place where the TV needs to go higher on the wall than you want it to go, but when you want to watch it, you want to bring it down. That's what this product is for. So it's funny. When I saw that video, I got involved. I'm not going to belabor the story, but these guys asked me to see if I would get involved. We launched the thing on Kickstarter. My other partner and I, we manufactured 500 units. We'd never done Kickstarter before. Someone said, "Hey, you should try Kickstarter." Me as an e-commerce guy,
You're like, all right.
I want to try that. So we launched it on Kickstarter. We put 500 units on there. We sold out of half of them in the first hour. And
That's awesome.
and so we really knew we had something. And then I started showing people the video and saying, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Some home theater guys that I happen to know, a couple of them, first question they said is, "Why is it so cheap?" Because we were selling them for a couple $100, and they, the high end mounts at that time that don't do this were $500-600. So, but then I had one friend who told me, "Oh my God, I literally just had a construction crew come and lower my mantle 2 feet so that I can put a TV over it without it being too high. I wish I had known about this at that point." Anyways, that's in a nutshell, that's what MantleMount is, and that's kind of
cool.
how we came to be.
And I first became aware of you guys, I think in 2019, because I saw you at CEDIA in Denver,
Right.
and you guys are showing off your cool motorized version.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just push the button or whatnot. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's funny because we when we did the Kickstarter campaign, one of the things you do in Kickstarter is you talk about what your primary goal is. Like, we want to sell 500 of these things,
Right.
and then you have these things called stretch goals, and
Mhm.
one of our stretch goals are where you want to take it in the future. And one of our stretch goals was to build a motorized version.
Right.
And wasn't until many years later, I think maybe it was 2019 when we introduced that product for the first time, and people loved it. Yeah, that one handles so MantleMounts, in terms of price for a consumer, they'll range from as low as $200 for kind of a base unit, and it does the job. It's
Right.
actually
Yep.
a high quality product, but all the way to $2,000, which has these high end, high strength motorized actuators that you'd find in the hatchback of a Mercedes or something. That it'll handle a 125-pound TV, and it'll just move. It comes down and swivels simultaneous, so it's got
Yeah.
this really kind of cool, smooth movement. You've seen that. It works with basically the way it works is you just turn your TV on, and it goes down to your favorite preset. You don't even have to press a button on the mount. You just turn the TV on, and it goes down to your favorite preset. And you don't need any special gear for that. Meaning, your TV plugs into the mount.
Is
The
it like a
mount plugs
USB
in.
connection and it senses the power on for the television and it triggers something like that?
It's like that. It's not a USB. The mount has a regular plug like you would have in your electrical plug, like you'd have in your wall. The mount has a control unit like an onboard computer. You plug you plug the power of your TV into the
Oh,
mount.
okay, I get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it senses the power draw for the
It
television.
senses the power
Yeah.
draw, and then it just brings the mount down. Now, if there are some, this is a home theater show, so there are a lot of people who like to use Crestron and Control 4 and
Sure.
um,
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
the Elan, all the
Mhm.
different popular home automation control systems. And so we've got that mount has drivers for all of those. So the prices range from $200 for the simple basic manual version all the way to about $2,000 for this home automation version. As a matter of fact, right before we got on, I'm going to share my screen again. Right before we got on, uh, I was looking at videos about this, and I got to decide which one I want to show because there was one that we made, but one that I just saw an installation company made that I think is great. I think I'll just show you theirs. And I saw this is like I saw it for the first time 2 minutes ago online. I have the sound off. I don't
No
really,
worries. It's kind of hard to string the sound anyway.
yeah, so I just have the
Oh, so
sound
this
off.
has got the nice little notch where you can really push this thing up against the wall.
Yeah, so this comes with that recessed box. So the black box behind there, the arm and all the electronics fold right up into that box when it goes up. And that makes it really super flush to the wall.
God,
And
I want one. I don't have any place for it, but man, I
it
want
is
it.
really super cool. You know, I will tell you, we have there was an article that one of the professional, the home theater professional magazines wrote about somebody who has MantleMount and someone who sells MantleMount. A lot of these guys, I love to. I mean, I don't want to boast, but I do love to say this because it's true. People, consumers see this thing and they just go, "Wow!" And once the dealers who do home theater installations started putting them in their showroom, they started calling us saying, all I got to do is press the button, and people want it. One guy actually, what he did was he does not show it to anybody while it's in his showroom. He sits everybody down to summarize what it is they want to buy and put together a quote. He sits them at a table and then he hits the button, and then the TV that he's doing the quote comes down to eye level, and they're like, whoa, wait a second, what's that? So
I have to have it. Yeah, no, that's cool.
so it's just one of those things where a lot of our customers tell us that they love showing it to their friends. You
Right
know,
on. So here's something cool so I've got a video that you sent me earlier, and it's like a commercial video that you see on television or something. But there's a feature that I think is really, really cool, and it's kind of funny in a way. And I want people to watch this and see if they can pick out the thing that, after I watch the video, the one feature that really stuck out to me. So everybody check this out.
Is your TV too high on the wall? Now you can easily pull your TV down to eye level and swivel it left or right. It's easy to install. Plus, heat-sensing handles change color if the fireplace gets too hot for your TV. It's no wonder MantleMount has thousands of 5-star reviews online. Get your MantleMount and watch TV at eye level for comfort and clarity. So make every seat the best seat in the house with MantleMount. But this special offer is only available at MantleMount.com. That's MantleMount.com.
Okay, I wonder if people can guess what my favorite feature is, and it's hilarious. But it's the color changing handle with the heat.
Yeah, the heat sensing handles.
That's awesome.
You know, I got to tell you something. I could show someone this mount and show them all the feats of engineering. You know, I mean, it's got great features. It's got swivel stop so it won't hit your swivel, and a vertical travel stop so it won't hit your wall or the mount won't hit your mantle. It's got all these wonderful safety features, but yeah, what everybody remembers is that handle that turns red at 110 degrees, and it is a safety feature because if you put your TV, we don't recommend that you put the TV down while your fireplace is running.
Sure.
That said,
Absolutely.
really it's all just about the heat or in theory the smoke, right? There are some people out in the world who say you shouldn't, who have been saying for years, don't put a TV over the fireplace. It's not an option anymore. But if you have one of these huge, humongous fireplaces, like you live in the middle of the snow, you live in an old house, it's the hole for the fireplace is 4 feet tall. You've got a tree full of wood in there, yeah, that's going to get pretty hot. But these gas fireplaces, they don't get very hot, but nonetheless, if the TV is down, there about 120 degrees is about where the heat a television can take before you're taking a risk with your electronics. So so we specially formulated the rubber on those handles where at 110 degrees, the handles will turn red. They don't get hot. You can touch
Right,
them,
just a color change, yeah.
but they'll just change color, and that's kind of a warning that says, hey, you should probably put your TV up right now because you shouldn't be running it with the fireplace on.
So Jason has a great point. So he's like, now you guys need to build a unit so that when the television completely comes down where it was at before, you can have a center channel speaker there,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great idea,
That no,
Jason.
that's a monstrous idea, right? Because that's a huge issue. I mean, because there's no place to put a center. If you're pulling the television down and there's a fireplace down there, there's no place for a speaker. So if you could just hide that behind the TV, and when you pull the TV down, now
Yeah.
you've just pulled in all your multi-channel folks. It's a
There
whole
are
different
some
world.
there are a lot of home theater guys who have kind of customized that type of setup, Jason, for their customers. What I will say, and it's not exactly the same, but a lot of our customers like to use a sound bar, a sound bar and we've got attachments that'll allow you to put the sound bar right at the bottom of your mantle mount. So what is kind of nice about that is as your TV comes down to eye level, you're watching TV at eye level, you're kind of listening at ear level. So the soundbar travels right to about where your ears are, but that said, a soundbar is a little different than a true, audiophile style center
Yeah,
channel.
because you could take and put two really nice towers on either side, and then have that center channel above and centered in the wall. And then
Yeah.
when that TV drops, the center's a little high, but there are always compromises, right?
Yeah, and
That
they also point a lot of them
Yeah,
are
they'll
adjusted
angle
to
it
point
down
the
and
sound.
point it directly to the listening position. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's a cool setup right there, especially if it's all motorized and you turn your television on and it comes down to your preset and it swivels and does all the stuff and fires up your kaleidoscope and no, that's pretty nifty. So let's talk a little bit about uh so we should power through a couple of these things.
Sure.
MantleMount versus competitors, right? So, what would you say is like the number one differentiator from all the ankle biters out there?
Well, MantleMount, it's interesting when you think of competitors. I guess we have a couple of people who have knocked off our mounts, but I don't know that you're going to see them around too much longer. You probably notice a lot of them having disappeared because we do have 12 issued patents on this product and about 13 that are still pending. So when the inventor created created the mount, he created a few different patents, and then over time we sat down and said, what's every possible way you can bring a TV out off the wall to clear a mantle, down to eye level, and then swivel left or right, and then push it back up, where it looks great over the mantle. And so when I think of competitors, I guess I think of traditional TV mounts, right?
Sure.
So I think of like a fixed mount, which just, you stick your TV over on the wall and that's it. It doesn't move. And then there's tilt mounts, which kind of the same, except for it gives you the ability to tilt it downward. And then there's what people have in the past called full motion mounts, and they still call them full motion mounts. They've got an arm that articulates so that you can pull the TV. It doesn't go down, but it comes off the wall
Mhm.
and swivels left or right. And in some cases, it also has that tilt.
Yeah, I've
So
got
I
a
guess,
I've got a Canto mount that does that for a TV in one of the bedrooms.
yeah, Kanto's a great brand, by the way. But what this mount does is it basically it comes away from the wall to clear a mantle and then down to eye level and then swivels up to 60 degrees left or right so that you can point it at the sofa. You can avoid the glare perhaps that's facing the TV by swiveling it. And then when you're done, you push it back up. So there really isn't anything else on the marketplace like it. There wasn't, except for there were a couple of foreign companies that made some knockoffs, and then we informed them of our patents, and they took them off the market.
Right
So I
on.
guess,
Very
you
cool.
know, I guess these other mounts have a purpose. Do you know what I mean? And so I guess it really just depends on your use case.
That
Uh,
makes total sense. Yeah. Well, and talking about the mounts, I mean, how many permutations of this do you guys have available? I mean, how many different models are there? And is there anything hot and new coming? Any
sure.
secrets for us?
Well, I guess one of the things that I do want to mention, and I'll jump into how many mounts we have. There are some really cool features, like you talked about that heat sensing handle, right?
Right.
On the manual versions of the mounts, we use these automotive pistons that basically they're gas springs, again, like you might find in a hatchback of a car that's not
Hmm.
motorized. But they're really heavy duty gas springs. And what they do is they create a counterbalance so that you saw that image of that 8-year-old girl reaching up and pulling down that TV with, it was a 100-pound TV
Yeah.
with a couple of fingers. And so what it does is it takes all the load of the mount and it makes it feather light to
Right.
move up and down. You've got those heat sensing handles. The mount can swivel maybe more than you might want to. So you can literally set a stop position for the left swivel, the right swivel, and the downward travel.
Oh, that's cool.
Those are safety features. There's a we have some accessories, and one of them is a what we call a recess box. So you can, just like you saw in that motorized mount, you could take any one of our manual mounts and inset this box in the wall, attach the arm to the box, and then the arm folds up into the wall. There's a place to attach your soundbar to the mantle mounts. So those are a couple things that I wanted to point out. But I'm going to share my screen again because it's so much easier. I don't know about you, but I'm very visual.
Oh,
Uh,
when you show a picture, it completely explains it immediately.
yeah. So let me jump over here. Sorry, guys, but here you go. So we basically right now have, and I can make this a little bigger, I guess.
Yeah, and I can make it a little bigger like this as well.
Yeah. So we have 5 mantle mounts currently. You can see the least expensive one is $217, and every once in a while it'll go on sale to $199. And then it goes up to this MM860, which is the motorized version, the smart home motorized version, and it's $2,200. It's kind of hard to see, but there's these blue dots that show you the differences between each of them. I think I'm going to jump over to this one. It doesn't have the motorized mount on it, but so they all have the automotive pistons. They all have the adjustable stops. There's a feature we call enhanced stabilization. It's something that's built into the mount, and it just makes it so that the mount doesn't wobble.
Sure.
There's a post leveling function that just fine tunes it once you've got it on the wall. Maybe the TV's heavier in one side versus the other based on where they put the power supply, so you can adjust it so that it's level again. Cable management and the horizontal swivel, they all have that, but as you go up the ladder, you start to get tilt. You get covers that these covers that cover the wall plates, and then you can paint them the same color as the wall. As you go up, you get this bar here, which you can attach your sound bar to, and you get those heat sensing handles. As they get bigger and more robust, they handle heavier weights. They're made of a more heavy duty steel so that a heavier weighted TV won't wobble at all. And then the 750, which is basically has 4 gas springs. It handles 125 pounds. It'll handle a 100-inch TV. It's got 4 gas springs inside. And then, of course, the 860, that's kind of hard to see, but instead of the gas springs, it's got the electric actuators. The chassis is very similar to that 750 mount. We do have, I'm going to jump over to our website. We do have a bunch of accessories here. So, for example, this is that recess box that I told you about.
Right.
So
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. No,
Yeah.
I really like the recess box. I mean,
So
when the
you can
TV's
definitely,
retracted, it's really nice.
yeah. And what's nice is you can set it into the wall, and if you for what they call a retrofit or an afterfit, you can set it into the wall. But let's say your studs are wider than the recess box. Well, then you can attach these cross braces to the recess box and find the studs. And then the cross braces have paintable covers, so you paint them the color of your wall.
Hmm.
But as you can see, that arm folds right into the wall, and that's kind of what the whole thing looks like.
Oh, that's the way to do
Together.
it right there. I mean, without going to the motorized version, that's the one.
Yeah,
That
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 is a
box
lot
that
of
box
people
on any of
buy.
the units really is a differentiator.
I
That's
would
really
say
cool.
about 25 to 30% of our mounts are sold with a recess box. And aside from that, we've got certain things like this is a single stud adapter. So sometimes people have a stud right down the center of their wall, and they don't need that big wide plate.
Right.
So they can attach the arm to this single stud adapter. There are a lot of different accessories that we have. A lot on that motorized version, a lot of people do what we call surface mounting it. So I'm trying to show you a picture of this.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's like
there's a
little end
lip
caps.
on the edge there, and you could attach this whole thing to the wall, and it still looks really nice with the arm folding up into it. It's about 4 inches deep. But then to kind of give it a cleaner finished look, if it's surface mounted, we've got this kind of cosmetic kit that hides that lip over here, if you can kind of see it in the corner. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
we
I
got a
totally see it.
picture of that. So so those are some of the accessories, and then yeah, and that's our line. I think you asked about things that are yet to come. We don't like to talk too much about what's yet to come until we have it, but I can tell you a couple of things. We have the MM860, the motorized mount. We just released one now that has the actuators, and it has 2 gas springs in it. And so what that did was it actually made it was very smooth in its movement, but with heavier TVs, it just smoothed out the movement for heavier TVs. And at the
Got it.
same
Yep.
time, it allowed the mount to handle a heavier TV because now the gas springs are handling some of the weight. It was a really interesting feat of engineering.
Now supporting 85-inch televisions or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you need to do. And we have some point next year, we're going to have a consumer, a more kind of consumer series motorized mount. It's not going to be as fancy as the
Oh, that's cool.
860, but it'll be it won't be in the thousands. Let
Right.
me say that,
For the masses.
yeah, it's a little bit more for the masses. I don't want to talk about its features, but it's still pretty darn cool. Let me say that. And then we're going to have another mount with the way our tilt works is a lot of how most TV mount tilts work. You have to reach behind the mount and unscrew something and tilt it down and tighten it up. And
Mhm.
then you're kind of stuck with that tilt. We've designed and patented a new version of tilt where you grab a handle underneath the TV, you squeeze it, and then you just push it forward or back, you let go, and
It's like a
it stays.
chair.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it's
stays in
like an
that
adjustable
position.
chair.
So you just you grab this handle, you push it, you tilt it where you want, you let go of the handle, and it locks into place.
That's
That'll
cool.
be coming out in the first half of next year. So that'll be yet another version of one of these mounts.
Awesome.
We have some really, really groundbreaking stuff coming out that I can't talk about, but I'm super excited about. And I will call you when it comes out, but it's probably not going to be until 2023. It's kind of some.
Well, when it's time for that, for the announcement, let me know. We'll make sure to get you scheduled up so you can come break the news here.
Be
And
happy to
speaking
do
of breaking news, I think it's time to move to segment 2 of the show. And segment 2 of the show is the tech question of the week. So today we've got Lee Mark from MantleMount with us to answer the tech question of the week. And let me read this this question off, and this will be our question. So Many professionals in both the electronic industry and interior design industry think that a TV should never be mounted above a fireplace. So, what are the reasons that they say this? And do you think it's reasonable that they say that at all?
I think that, God, that's an interesting question. I'm going to have to reposition for that.
Oh, he's got to get ready for this one. All right, here we go. All right, I'm in it.
Well, first off, I've met a lot of those designers, and there are a lot of designers who just think of a big piece of electronics in the middle of a family room above a beautiful ornate fireplace is just completely out of place. They just believe that a beautiful painting should be there, and that then that you need a separate TV room. And I don't necessarily disagree if you've got this beautiful, classically designed living room with all this expensive furniture and all that. A picture does look nice over a fireplace. Unfortunately, the way they're building most homes these days, that doesn't always give you that option, right? And now they're actually making TVs, like the Samsung frame TV, that can be a
I was going
picture
to say the frame. Yeah.
when you want it to be.
I
And a
I
lot of
want
people
a
are
frame.
using. I'm sorry.
I said I'm actually planning to install a frame or one of the competitors in our dining room, right? Because we want to have it on all the time as a piece of artwork, but occasionally we'll want to throw some kind of television thing up there. So I think that's an outstanding idea, and coming to a video soon.
Yeah, I think those are wonderful. So I think that changes that dynamic even for designers now, right? But I think it's a personal preference. So I guess I would say it holds water. It's just a matter of personal preference and what's most convenient for the way you want to live in your house. Now I've met a lot of guys. What's been interesting about MantleMount is when I'm at the trade shows, especially when we first came out, I had a lot of guys come up to me and say, I never recommend putting a TV over the fireplace. And it's almost like a badge of honor. They worked it into their sales pitch for so many years that it's just become part of their sales pitch. And so so I often tell them, well, let me give me an opportunity to try to change your mind. And some I'm able to change their mind, and some are just not flexible, right?
Right.
But I think that if I was to say what are their main reasons, I think their main reasons often start with it's too high on the wall and it doesn't look good, and
Right.
it's not easy to watch. So we've obviously solved that one. But for people who are used to selling on that, in a controversial way, because they have to sell their customers against the idea that the customer wants to do.
It seems like it would be so much easier if they just met the customer where they are and they say, okay, you want to put it above your mantle? Great. Here, buy this Samsung frame television, make it look like a picture when it's up, and then buy this mantle mount. So when you watch TV, you pull it down. You've got the best of both worlds.
You're right.
Done.
And more people are doing that. So I think the other reasons are the heat.
Mhm.
And but really what ends up happening, and it's hard to describe, but depending on the depth of your mantle, unless you don't have a mantle at all, the mantle is somewhat of a barrier for heat. But we are clearing the mantle. So it is true that the bottom of the TV could have some heat exposure.
Sure.
A lot of them talk about, if it's a wood burning fireplace, they talk about smoke exposure that they
Right.
just think is not good for the electronics. And I would say that that's probably true, but most people's fireplaces have a pretty functional flue
Yeah.
to pull the smoke out. So I mean, if the smoke's coming out onto your TV, it's coming out into the room.
It's a
Sometimes,
problem. It's a huge problem.
that's a separate problem, right?
Yeah.
So I think that if you were in a lodge in a ski mountain and you had one of these humongous fireplaces, and you wanted to run it and watch TV, that probably wouldn't be a good idea. But even in those cases, a TV over the mantle, I don't know, maybe it would get soot and smoke over time. But the mantle itself would protect the TV from that. And so, I think what's happening in a lot of homes is that their fireplaces just aren't that big, or they're electric, or they're just not burning that much, or they have good ventilation. And so really, we haven't had, we've been selling these things now since 2015. I don't, and I'm pretty in tune. I don't recall one heat problem. I mean,
Right
people
on.
love that heat sensing handle, and it satisfies their what happens if the fireplace is too hot question. And it does actually satisfy a lot of the home theater guys who've been, or installers who've been against it in the past. Um, but we just haven't seen it as a problem, I guess is what I would really say. So I don't want to invalidate people who have good reasons for it. It just hasn't seemed to be a problem for the people who like to buy mantle mounts.
Cool.
And
Awesome.
we have seen a lot of people who used to say they wouldn't put a TV over the fireplace change their mind about it.
I was that person, because I can't deal with the television that high with that kind of viewing angle. And when I discovered you guys, totally changed my point of view on the whole functionality of a room that has a fireplace on that main wall. And like you said, the other wall is going to have two huge windows looking out into the backyard, and the other wall is going to have doors, and then the back's going to be open to the kitchen, for example, right?
Yeah.
And so you got one spot, it's got a big fireplace in the middle. What do? This is absolutely exactly what you do.
Yeah. Thank
Cool.
you.
Right on. So, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show with us today. Your time is valuable, and it's an honor that you'd spend it here talking with us, telling us about your product, which I think is super cool. And like I said before, I saw this for the first time in person in 2019, and it's really slick. I mean, it's really cool, especially the motorized version. I know that $2,000 for a motorized version is kind of out there for a lot of folks, but absolutely the manual pull down is really cool. And then one day it sounds like you're going to bring the motorized version to the masses. So, there's hope for us all yet. But again, thanks so much for coming on.
We're testing that one right now. It's in the prototyping stage. It's gone a couple of rounds, so might be sooner than you think.
Nice. Well, I look forward to it. When that is available, please let me know so we can bring you back on and chat more about it.
I will.
All right, Lee.
Thanks so much for having me. This has been fun. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Talk soon.
Take care.
All right, folks. Now it's time to move on to segment 3 of the show. That's right. This is the time of the show where we talk about all that content that we all love to talk about, because why do we build these theaters and these media rooms? It's to talk about content. And today we have a very special guest, and his name is Ealan Osborne. Everybody clap and welcome to the show. Yay. Woo. Exactly. So exciting. So exciting. Welcome. First time.
Yeah. Hi.
Glad to have you on here with us.
Can you hear me all right?
Heck yeah, I can hear you all right.
Okay, good.
Yeah. How are things?
Oh, splendid.
Right? Oh, they're the best ever?
Yeah, pretty much. With all that's going on right now, it's still pretty cool.
So, did you survive the great social media outage of 2021?
I did. I was actually really busy doing other stuff. So I didn't.
You're like, I was doing stuff that mattered.
Yeah, I didn't even really notice until, like, I don't know, it was almost over. So,
dude, so I did 4 live streams yesterday. And they were about 5 or 10 minutes each. Yeah. And they netted about 70,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
And like $200 in just viewer money, right?
Yeah.
So it was ridiculously profitable and almost 400 subscribers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just because nobody else had anything to do.
That's right. Everybody's crazy. Like, everybody went to YouTube. everybody's on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, that's how we met. You're one of these YouTube dudes, right?
Correct.
Tell everybody what you got going on. What's your deal?
There
might be 1 or 2 that don't know who you are. Let's let them know.
Yeah, I do home theater stuff, as you do as well. I also do movie reviews sometimes if I pick up a 4K Blu-ray that I'm really interested in or want to talk about. Coming up pretty soon, I'm going to be talking about. I recently got a 4K combo Braveheart / Gladiator. So
Nice.
back in the day, those were my jams. So I wanted to pick those up. So
Those are still wonderful jams.
yes, they really are. So it was a good purchase. So I want to talk about it. But yeah, it's music. I also talk about because I'm a composer at heart. That's actually what I wanted to do for a long time, was be a Hollywood composer and score films. So
Dude, we should do a video that you score.
Yeah, I actually
just like a little 3 or 4 minute thing, right? Or just something short.
Yeah, for sure.
So awesome.
Just a couple of weeks ago, a buddy of mine, he's got a children's animation that he's trying to pitch to some people that he knows on a very popular streaming platform. And he just has like this, 90-second trailer. And I didn't do the animation, but he sent me the animation, and he wanted me to score it and do the narration on it and sound design. So I did all those things, and I just love doing stuff like that because it's not usually what I do. It had been a long time since I had sat down at the keyboard and just banged out some music. So I love when stuff like that interrupts my normal day-to-day routine.
Well, is that really an interruption? That's like the good stuff, right?
Yes, exactly. That's the cherry on top.
That's cool. Yeah. So, people were asking, drop your link, and I'll get all these links in the notes after this is done. But I dropped that in right now, so you guys can go check them out on YouTube, and make sure when you check them out to like and subscribe, watch 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 videos, 8 or 9 times each, and make sure you comment on each of them, and then tell your friends as well.
And sit through all of the ads. Don't skip
all of them. Stay through the end of the video. Right. watch it all. And hey, some of your buddies are here. My buddies too. We got Aperion Audio.
Hey.
Dalamandrium is also Aperion Audio up in the house with us today. These guys are awesome. If you guys want to know one of the very best speaker manufacturers that I've come across in a very long time, that some people still haven't heard of, man, Aperion Audio, just they're killing it. I mean, they just absolutely kill it.
Yeah, they just sent me some Varus speakers, which is their top of the line. So I am so excited to get into those.
I can't wait to see what you got going on with that. That's going to be super awesome, amazingly cool. And AA says Ealan is great, and it's true. He is. And AA also says, hey, I'm here. I'm still waiting for him to become AAA rated. He's only AA still. One day.
That's, everyone's got their time to shine.
Oh, all right. So, here we go. Not that one. This one. My mail says, I just discovered his channel a few weeks ago. It's very well done. Especially when he gets in the boxes.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
I know, right?
You're in it to win it at that point.
Yeah, that's the only time I attempted to do that, is trying to actually get in.
It's hard for me to find a box that I can get into. Instead of like the really, really big box. If I did like a washing machine channel.
Yes.
That's
great.
That's my style. Yeah. Refrigerators.
Right.
Oh. Now let's change gears here just a little bit, because you put a challenge to me for this episode.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that a little bit? Because I thought you were a little crazy when we started talking about it, but then it started to make sense. So tell everybody what we did.
Yeah. If you go way back on my channel, some of the first videos that I posted are what I called audio streaming reviews. Because before COVID, I was way behind on my watch list of what I wanted to watch, TV and movies. I've got 2 little girls, and you know, my wife and I have this little window between when they go to bed to when we go to bed of maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours max, to where we can watch the stuff that we want to watch.
Right.
And so at the time I was working for a real estate company in their marketing department. And, you know, I decided, you know what, instead of listening to podcasts, which I would do day in and day out, instead of doing that, I'm going to listen to shows. I'm going to listen to movies that I've been wanting to watch. But since I can't actually watch them at work, I'm going to listen to them with the audio description on, so that way I know what's happening action wise. So if there is action happening, I can follow along. It's not just, you know, random sounds that I don't know what's happening.
Right.
Because the audio description is your narrator pretty much. So I did a whole host of videos reviewing, you know, I did Iron Man and I did The Witcher and Better Call Saul. And I reviewed those because I wanted to see how it sounded, or if it was any different than if I was actually watching it. But I also even kind of commented on if the audio description itself was good or not, or if it was just like a little bit annoying or whatever. So yeah, that's what I started with, because I thought at the time, I was like, oh man, this is going to blow up. Everybody is behind on their shows like I am. So, you know, just people on the go and living these mobile lifestyles, this is going to take off, and it's going to be so unique. And so I do about like 1 or 2 or 3 videos, and nobody cares.
That's a tough one.
I know,
especially when you're first starting. That's hard.
Yeah, because nobody's searching for that.
Yeah.
So it's just people that kind of by happenstance come across that. So if you, I don't know, if you really want to dig deep into my archive, you can go and check those out. But yeah, it wasn't until last year I got the Klipsch 5.1 reference theater pack for my birthday, just as a present to myself, because I knew I had, in the house we live in currently, I had 4 speakers in the ceiling and then a center channel where below the TV. They were just already there installed. So since I already had ceiling speakers, I thought to myself, oh, you know what? Someday, not immediately, but someday I'm going to get like 5 more speakers or 4 more speakers, so I can have those as my ear level speakers.
Yeah, your bed
and
channels.
then have Dolby Atmos finally.
Right.
So I got the reference theater pack. Those became my little ear level satellites. And then I decided, you know what? Since I have this, I'm a home theater buff. I'm a movie buff. Might as well just do my own style of review on it.
Right.
And then, I mean, compared to the audio streaming reviews that I did,
wildly successful.
Yes, it was just through the roof comparatively. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and
people are actually searching for this kind of content.
Yeah, it didn't hurt that it said Klipsch as well. So that's always a good search term.
Everybody loves Klipsch on YouTube, apparently.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, then it just took off from there, and I'm like, I need to ride this wave and just continue with product reviews, because that's what people actually want to see.
That's cool. And you're quite successful so far. And, you know, you've got a good style. See, that's what I struggle with, because I don't have any style. I'm just like, hey, y'all, check this out. Some speakers. Woohoo! It's good.
Right.
Some people get into it. But you've got a good distinctive style that I enjoy watching as well. There are a lot of channels in this market or in our niche that I really don't like to watch at all.
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy it. But yours is cool. It's fun.
Thanks. Yeah. For those who want to know or didn't want to know, Bill Nye the Science Guy was a huge influence on me just as a kid growing up, but also their editing style, because they would just make education totally fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bill Nye was a real big influence on how I styled my review videos.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that I did not know. That's new news for me.
Yes. Like, because every once in a while you hear this disembodied low voice kind of
Yeah.
pitching in, and that's totally from Bill Nye. They did the exact same thing. So
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. So how do we segue your story that you just told into our cool little experiment today?
Well, we can just say that I somehow convinced you to listen to the original Star Wars. Well,
That's right.
I asked you to decide on watching a movie that you know so well that maybe hearing it or just listening to it will be a new experience and bring out some things that you've never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you probably know A New Hope like the back of your hand, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was an interesting experience, and I just did this today so things would be fresh in my mind. And there are a handful of things that stuck out. So, and some were good, and some were not so good.
Yeah.
And to kick things off,
Well, before we go on, did you do it blindfolded, or what did you do?
I went down to the theater and I sat down and I queued everything up, hit play, and turned the projector off.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't.
I think I fell
have that
asleep once or
luxury.
twice because it was super relaxing, dark and cool, and I had a little blanket and I was all cuddled up and listening. But no, yeah, I was, and I did that for about half the show, and then for the second half, I turned the projector back on because I wanted to be able to do some like A/B comparison. So I was like watching, just to see and what's the difference, So I did a little A/B comparison toward the end just to give that a shot as well.
Did you have the audio description on?
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Without audio description, it would have been a colossal failure.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have audio description. Otherwise, it is not recognizable as the same movie.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
True.
So the audio description was absolutely key. And I listened to a lot of audible.com, so books on tape. And I that's how I consume books now. Like when I'm driving, I'll listen, and when I'm at work, at lunch, I'll turn it on and listen, that kind of stuff. So with the audio description on, it was very similar to a listening to a book being read type of event, but with really good voice actors.
Right.
Every character's got their own voice actor, y'all, which is what I wish they would do in audiobooks.
Yeah, true.
But so to kick things off, the first experience was kind of a negative because it becomes very difficult for, I think, the narrator to give you the full impact of what you're seeing on the screen. Right. And if everybody remembers, at the beginning of Star Wars, you've got, the little ship flies by, right? And, then the big ship comes and they're fighting, right? They're shooting, and the big ship comes across and it keeps coming and it gets bigger and it keeps coming and it gets bigger. And you're like, oh my God, this thing is huge, right? And you have this feeling of there's this humongous ship just bearing down on this little tiny frigate, right? And in the audio description was, there's a large ship passes by overhead. It gets larger. Then you see the bright lights of the rockets or whatever, and it's like, oh,
it
not really the same.
Compacted it into this one-off sentence,
right? Because it's hard to put that emotion and that experience into enough words to give that to you in that amount of time. It's really impossible. Right. Now, a thing that I think was kind of cool, right? So much later in the movie, in the cantina scene, Han Solo is sitting across from Greedo. Right. And, Greedo's like, Jabba the Hutt's angry with you, blah, blah, blah. And we're, he's not happy you dumped this stuff off. And he's like, oh, no, I'm all. And, there's always the big debate. Who shot first? Right. Well, when you have the audio description on, you don't have to worry. There's no question, because they say Han Solo dodges and then fires back.
Yeah. But
they say that. And so if you can't see it, Han Solo shot second for sure.
Yes, But I also think that that's still controversial because audio description on the Star Wars movies wasn't available until they released them in 4K on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they would have done audio description back in 1977 or whenever it came on home video,
Sure.
then it probably would have been a different story. Because since then, you've got all those different iterations of, where in the special edition, that's when they changed it
Right.
and had, digitally made Han Solo dodge first and then shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who knows,
yeah,
right? Yeah, but
I know
that would be gospel if this was the original version, right? Because they call it out that way. Another item that was kind of tough for me, that with the audio description not capturing the full impact, is when R2D2 and C3PO R2D2 are on Tatooine, and they first see the Jawa trawler, the humongous thing that the Jawas travel around in. I
Yeah.
forget what it's called, but they call it a big tank.
Yeah. I thought that too.
Yeah, and I'm
I was
like,
like,
no, this
oh.
thing's like 10 or 20 stories tall. It is, I mean, it's absolutely humongous. It's like a building on these treads. It's humongous. So that one, I was like, oh, that doesn't really give you that full impact.
Right.
I will say though that, like I said at the beginning, having the audio description on is leap years ahead of just trying to listen to the straight audio.
Yeah.
Because you miss way too much without having the description on. I mean, the description makes this very accessible to folks that can't see the screen. I mean, it's really cool that that's available. I don't know. So I've talked a lot. What do you think? What was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's I've come to appreciate just almost the art form of audio description.
Sure. Yeah.
Because sometimes they just, not necessarily in Star Wars, but I have listened to some where it seems like it's almost poetic how they describe the scene.
They have to, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
there are people that are, I assume some type of author translating what they see into written words that are then spoken, obviously, right? But, there's art to how do you squeeze in these descriptions so people know what's going on without pausing the movie too much, kind of thing, and disrupting the continuity of the scene.
Exactly. Yeah. Not only do they have to make it so it is descriptive, but fit it in between these very precise points of action. Let's see. Well, I got a few notes.
Sure.
Because when I just listen to something, it obviously makes me a lot more appreciative of sound design in general. Right. And the sound design person was Ben Burt, who is obviously just a legend in sound design and sound effects in Hollywood. But my first note was, at the first scene in the ship when they're conversing with each other, and then Leia puts the message into R2D2, and then they go down on Tatooine, they're walking and talking. There is so many motor movements, just the sounds of them moving. I'd never noticed before to that extent. And it's just a testament to the sound design. It's just like, my goodness, they have to really think of everything and put a sound to every movement, because, C-3PO makes a noise every time he moves his arms and his head. And R2D2, every time the top of it swivels. There's just so many motor sounds in this. It was incredible.
And just imagine the tools that they were editing with back then.
Exactly.
It's not like they just drag and drop, robot sound and robot sound.
Yep. That's literally my second note. You called it out perfectly.
Right on.
Just because, back then everything they had to do was analog. Like it was the very beginning stages of digital processing and microprocessors and things like that. So I think they had that to their I think they had that ability to utilize that to some degree, but nothing like today. I mean, literally, yeah, you can't just drag and drop like you do today. Just a little like a specific tidbit, because honestly, the other reason I got into home theater and just audio and sound in general was because I've been such a sound nut my whole life. Just my world kind of revolves around audio. And I noticed that in this version of Star Wars, when Obi-Wan scares off the Sand People, and he meets Luke and
Yep.
C-3PO and R2-D2
Yep.
for the first time, in this version, it's more of like a human sound, like a human trying to scare off somebody, and it's real reverby, and it just sounds kind of weird. So I thought to myself, wait a minute, that's different. That's not the sound that I'm used to, that I grew up with. So I have the DVD version that came out back in the 90s. So I popped that in, and sure enough, when he scares off the Sand People, it's like more of an animal sound.
Yeah, it did. I remember thinking that years ago when I watched it. I'm all like, that's a really compelling animal sound he just made. That,
Yeah.
it's not like a person making that. Yeah, no, I remember thinking that too.
So now it sounds more human-like, which is
So
like,
they
why
changed it, huh?
Yeah, why did they decide to change that? Why did that need to be changed? It didn't need to be changed. Anyway, I thought that was weird.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Another sound design thing. Just every time you're inside something, in the interior of a ship,
The
the interior
noise.
of a control room, interior of the Death Star, there's always sound going on, little hums, little static things, just the sounds of the ship and the sounds of the place that they're in. It's just astounding, just the attention to detail that they gave. And I think this was the first time they ever tried to accomplish multi-layered audio channels in a Hollywood production, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting.
Just another thing that George Lucas decided to pioneer in the film industry. So it's just another thing where I'm like.
So one thing I noticed today that I really hadn't paid much attention to in the past is Darth Vader, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with his breathing sound, but then talking, and he breathes while he talks.
Right.
You hear the psh, and while that's going on, James Earl Jones is just talking. So I didn't realize that he was breathing at the same time that he's talking, and then it made me think maybe he has like a second robotic kind of thing where he can talk, but it's not connected to the system that keeps him oxygenated. I'm like, how can this possibly be that he can breathe and talk? He can be inhaling and talking at the same time. How does this work?
Right.
So I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah, actually, same here. I had noticed it to that level. I'm like, man, he's breathing all the time. Yeah.
Yep. One other thing I noticed too that was a little harder to deal with the without watching the video is at the end of the movie when they're going to blow up the Death Star, you have scenes where it'll show them talking, and it'll show them in the cockpit of their ship, and then it'll jump over to the rebel base or whatever, and their voice will change because then you're hearing it as they're speaking through the radio. Right.
Yeah.
And then it'll flip back to them, and then it'll be like you're in the room with them, so you hear their normal voice. And they had the really cool over the radio sound for the voice, right? But it doesn't describe that with the audio description. You just hear them talking, and then the voice is clear, and then it sounds like they're going through radio, and then their voice is clear again, and it sounds like they're going through a video. So, and this is all as they jump from different scenes, they're in the ship to showing the ship to other people listening to them talk. So that was that is something that obviously gets missed out on, a lot of that action with the ship. One other thing I noticed was when there was a scene where they're attacking the Death Star, and it jumps to Princess Leia, and she's kind of there, like, I thought it was kind of a face of anticipation. She's like, what's going to happen? But the audio description said she grimaces in fear.
Yeah.
Right. And when they say grimace in fear, I'm all like, she's like, but she's more like,
right.
So
right.
I'm like, oh, that didn't quite match for me. But if you can't see it, you'd never know. And for me, it changes that scene kind of on a fundamental level, an emotional level. Yeah. So that's something else I noticed. So the art that you referred to before of the person that's creating that description, they have to be spot on. You can't be lax with your descriptions, because the fine distinctions in words really convey a whole different emotion for a scene.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I probably watched this way more than you thought I would.
No, it's great. Because one of the things that I would do, obviously when I was at work, I would just watch it or listen to it on my phone.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool how you can watch movies and TV shows like this as if it were an audiobook.
Absolutely.
You could just do it anywhere if you really wanted to start to get into this. I know it's not for everyone, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting and fun, a fun little thing to try.
And you never have to do reviews of televisions with this technology, because you just like, oh, you don't need a TV. You just
yeah, exactly.
just stream it on your phone.
Right. The trash compactor scene, I think still holds up.
It does.
Even though it was done so long ago, just sonically, the trash compactor scene, just all the sounds and the water and the when it's
when it's coming together and everything's kind of shaking, and then when he shoots and it bounces all around.
Yeah, exactly. So just everything about that scene, they meticulously just kind of pieced it little piece by piece, just made it a fantastic scene. I really liked it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right that they put a lot of work into the sound mix for this movie way back then. And the special effects are actually, they're kind of elementary by today's standards, but when you watch it, it's still immersive enough that you're into it. And you're like, oh, all right, yeah, this is good. It's not like those hokey claymation kind of special effects that you saw like on Hercules, and Sinbad the Sailor or whatever, right? Which were really bad, right?
Right.
But, so they totally hold up.
Yeah, for sure. It's just another testament to George Lucas's vision. Speaking of his vision, there was this little line that I hadn't really noticed before. When they're pretending to take Chewbacca away, handcuffed.
Right in the handcuffs. Yep.
They say prisoner transfer from cell block 1138. And I'm pretty sure that's a reference to THX 1138, which is George Lucas's short film that he did at USC.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So just little things like that. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
That's
little Easter eggs even back then.
Yeah.
I also noticed some like just little offhand comments that they make during the movie that I really didn't pay attention to before. And I can't think of a good example, but like when they were on the Death Star and they were trying to get back onto the ship, and so they're watching the Millennium Falcon, and this is when Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to fight, and the stormtroopers are guarding the ship, but the door opens and they're fighting, and the stormtroopers run over, and then they're like kind of whispering like, okay, let's go, let's get to the ship, right? And I never really paid any attention to that before, but if you go back, they're like, oh, let's go. So I don't know, that's another thing that I really hadn't paid attention to in the past.
And most likely all those little things like that are probably just recorded after the fact.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they just add them in.
Just some ADR that they added in. So It's pretty cool. How did you like the audio description talent? How did you like that person who did the audio description?
It was okay. He's not my favorite, and some of the ways that he put forth some of the passages, um, he seemed too happy about it with the way that he would end his sentence, and I can't copy it. But all in all, I think he did a fine job. Um, I have some favorites from audiobook world that I really, really
Mhm.
like. But one of the reasons I like them is that they can do so many different voices to bring the
Yeah.
characters alive. And this guy just was narrator, right? So just all he had to do was narrate.
Right.
But I thought it was done well. Yeah. I don't have any significant complaints. Just every once in a while he'd end a sentence and I'm all like, he ended that sentence on a mighty high note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So some of the
What did you think?
his performance is, well, just because I've listened to so many other different things, as I was gathering content that I could
Mhm.
review, he's definitely not one of my favorites at all.
Right. Right.
I mean, truth be told, he's actually one that I like the least.
Sure.
But just because I even put this in my notes, when he says, uh, when Chewbacca hits one of the stormtroopers on their way out, or as they're trying to escape in the Death Star, you know, just a little bit too animated. He goes, and Chewbacca decks him.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It's just a little
mhm.
too weird.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
little. I mean, I know Star Wars was originally written for kids, so maybe he's trying to channel that a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, that's a little bit over the top for
Too
me.
much cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chewbacca decks him.
Too
It's
much
like, come
cheese.
on.
You're gonna have to put that in one of your videos. Chewbacca decks him. Yeah, you
Yeah,
totally gotta do it.
I'll have that
People are gonna
sound
be
bite
like,
somewhere.
you
Um,
should record that and then just throw it in randomly in different videos. People are gonna be like, "What the
It'll be my
hell is he
Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, what is he doing? Cool. No, this was a really fun experience, and it's something that I haven't done before. Like I said, I'd done a lot of audiobook listening. I mean, lots and lots of hours of audiobook
Yeah.
listening, but I'd never tried it with a movie, and it does make it accessible, right?
Mhm.
You can consume video, moving pictures, kind of just with the audio, with the audio description, and it's not a perfect experience, but I think it's a good enough experience where you can appreciate the film.
Mhm. Yeah, if you want to get into my personal favorite audio description talent,
Mhm.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but he's the audio describer for The Witcher on Netflix,
Mhm.
and also the Dark Crystal that came out semi recently a few years ago
Yeah,
on
the
Netflix.
series.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we watched those.
Those two have the same audio describer in both of them. And because when I first started doing this, I thought, okay, audio description has to be somewhat robotic, just to kind of differentiate it from the actual dialogue of the actors and actresses,
Right.
just to kind of stand out. So okay, this is somebody telling me what is going on, so I can
Mhm.
follow the action. So I just always had in my mind, like, okay, this is as good as it gets.
Right.
But then I listened to Dark Crystal, and this dude, I mean, he literally sounds like a narrator from a book.
He was killing it, huh?
Yeah, just the way that he performed it, and it's like he's almost whispering it, and it's just really cool. So it really marries the two of like being entertained, and yet just having this awesome narrator describe what's happening to you. So if you want to check out my personal favorite
I'll
experience,
totally check it out.
yeah, that's those two, Witcher and Dark Crystal.
And Witcher season 2 coming really soon now.
Yes, And I hope it's the same audio describer.
I just the show's really good. I can't wait to see more of it.
Yeah.
You know, we're living in the golden age of television for me right now. There's
Mhm.
so much good content out there, and you know, and we talked about this a little bit before, but you know, I just jumped into Foundation, and
Mhm.
after we get done with this episode, I'm going to go watch. I think it's episode 4 of the show. I haven't seen it yet, and I've really been enjoying the show so far, and can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
There's that many episodes so far?
I think they released. I think they have 4. And I don't think the 5th one's come out yet.
Wow. Okay.
Time flies when you're having fun, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely on my list. We're gonna get in. My wife and I are gonna start getting into that real soon because we love Isaac Asimov.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah.
he's really good. Apple TV has another show called Invasion that's coming out pretty soon, and
Hmm.
my wife has marked that one as a must watch for us. So we're gonna check that one out, and we have to watch. I think it's called Shadow and Bone. We haven't watched that yet.
that one's good.
Yeah, so that one's on the list, and she's like, "Don't watch it without me." So now I'm stuck. I can't watch it, and I told her, "Don't watch Squid Games or whatever it is without me," and she did it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Yeah, but she said she wanted to listen to that one dubbed in Thai, but she didn't want to watch it in English, so she did that one
Oh,
in Thai,
yeah.
and I'm like. She's like, I wanted this. She's like, this one was Asia show, and I wanted it in Thai because I understand it the best that way. I'm like, all right, I can
Right.
hey, you're the boss. But she watched it without me, and I still haven't watched it yet, so I'm still missing out on all the pop culture references from that show now.
Yeah, me too. We know we need to, but we haven't gotten into that one yet.
Yeah, there's just like I said, there's so much content out there,
Mhm.
and it's all so good. I mean, I'm looking forward to Expanse season 5, I think it is, or 6, or whatever the next one's going to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Such a good show. I mean, such a good show. If people
Yeah.
haven't watched that one, they are really missing out.
Yeah, we have another one that's on our list. So did that, because that is now on Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah, they've moved to Amazon Prime. I think that all the seasons are there.
Did it get better when it moved to Amazon?
It's awesome. So I thought it was great all the time. I mean, at the beginning it was a little slow, but yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I really like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
the season 2 was not so good for me, but after season 2, 3, and 4, and I can't remember if there's been a 5th one, it all blurs together. But yeah, it got better after season 2. I thought season
Yeah.
1 was pretty good,
Right.
but it's totally changed though. So the show that it was in those first 2 seasons, it's not. It's a lot different now because it was kind of weird with the detective guy that is chasing the it's really evolved and matured as a show. Yeah.
Because yeah,
You should watch
season
it.
2, I think they were still on Sci-Fi at that point. I think season 3 is when it jumped over to Amazon. So that makes sense. How it got better after that.
Yeah,
More money,
it's
probably.
probably, and probably maybe better staff. I don't. Who knows? I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's good, and I strongly recommend it. If you can make it through the first 2 seasons, and it's not like it's a struggle to make it through those, but
Sure.
it gets better, especially when they open up the gate that lets them have access to other places in the universe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, that's not giving anything away, but it's really cool because that opens up, a whole plethora of opportunities for the show to go different directions and do different things. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something
All
I
right.
need to get on. Need to get on that bandwagon too.
Get on it. Yep. All right. So we're about an hour and a half into the show. So I think we are trolling the fringes of time. People are like, this thing's long. Anything else you want to get out to the folks on the show today? Anything else they need to know? Anything you want to tell them?
Apparently I'm one of the only ones, or one of the first, to review the new Klipsch reference cinema system that just came out on Costco.com. So hopefully later this week, that review will finally be out. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I saw your unboxing video, and they're cool units. I mean, they're pretty big with the Atmos speaker on top and that kind of thing. That's real cool. I'll be dropping a 5.1 1.2 review, and it's Klipsch Towers. It's the stuff I posted up on my Instagram image for folks that are following along there. So that one will come out. I haven't even started filming it yet though, so still weeks away. So it'll be a while, but I do want to do more Klipsch and SVS and televisions and AVRs and stuff like that. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that kind of content in the near future, and less of the esoteric 2-channel stuff that nobody really cares about. I mean, I kind of like it, but here's a pair of speakers you've never heard of before, and they cost $30,000.
Right.
People are like, pass.
Yeah, like thanks.
One of those
I can't afford that.
Another DAC. They're like, yeah, I don't really need to hear about another DAC. No, but I'll be doing the Onkyo 5100 receiver at some point, and probably I think it's called the RZ50. And that one's just coming out, so I'll be doing that one too. So everybody,
do you have one in possession right now?
No, I have one on the way.
Okay,
and it's the one that Andrew Robinson had.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So hopefully he treated it well. Hopefully he treated it well. But I do have a 5100, but that's their like entry level, and it doesn't do Dirac or any of the cool stuff. But it's still a nice unit for the money. But I'm still waiting on that Onkyo to show up.
Nice.
So I get his cast offs.
That'll be a good one.
So nice. All right. Thank you for coming on the show, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe to pitch. Well, you pitch your channel. I don't have to pitch it for you.
Hey, like and subscribe to Ealan Osborne. Do you think I screwed myself over for having my own name as my channel instead?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm thinking about changing my channel back to my name, or changing it to my name. Home theater fanatics is cool and all, but sometimes I want to do stuff that's not really home theater stuff. Like I'm doing a kitchen and bathroom remodel set of videos.
Oh, cool.
Right. And I did the first video where I painted my cabinets, and I think 3 people watched it. Because it's on Home Theater Fanatics. But I'm doing one about the floors. I'm going to do a video about the countertops, and I'm going to do a video about redoing the bathroom and doing like a peel and stick wall in there. And I want to get like a bidet toilet, install that too, and then give people my reaction of being bideted. I think that would make really good television. Like
a close up right on your face as soon as it just
exactly
right up Main Street.
Whistle clean. Yeah. The truck has arrived. Time to clean out the tunnel. So I do other stuff than just hi-fi. So no, I don't think you at all. I mean, you've typecast yourself a bit with your logo, which is headphones, but it's a really cool logo though. And I afterwards, or not today, but sometime, I want to find out if you did your own logo animation and all that stuff, because whoever did it's really good. I really like it. So your intro animation and the whole deal, I think that's really nice. I mean, it kicks the crap out of my stuff, and I'm all like, I need to figure out this secret sauce because it's really nice. It's really good. Way better than my stuff. But no, I really like that. It's I think those components of your video you've really got down. I mean, you knocked it out of the park, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. I mean, I hope my audience understands that I really shot myself in the foot by creating this style that takes a very long time to edit. So I'm just glad that they're hanging in with me, because it takes a long time just to produce one video. So but it's so worth it in the end.
It totally is. I'm going the other way. I'm trying to figure out how can I churn these things out as easily as possible, have them be passable, but not have to spend 4 hours editing.
Right.
I'm all like, how can I film this and then just take 20 minutes to edit all together?
Right.
That's my goal in life. And I watch some of the other channels, and some of the other channels it's like super simple. Darko, I like his style a lot. And I think Jana does his editing right now, and she is amazing. She's really, really good. I forget what her last name is, but I met her at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest in 2019, and she works with him, and she's really, really, really good. And so I appreciate the way they do their stuff, and it's real simple, and they don't do anything flashy. They
Mhm.
talk, and then they cut in some cinematic sequences of the equipment or whatever they're talking about, and that's it. They don't do background music over or under their voice, right? So when they
Mhm.
talk, it's just them. But then they do some cool funky music when they do the cinematic sequences.
Right.
And they do a lot of like handheld shots, so you get a little bit of camera movement in there, as opposed to Robinson, who uses a mechanized slider when he does his shots, because
Yes.
there's no handheld in that. That's just, he just sets it up and it goes across.
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting to watch how people do different stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then
I
you
know.
got
I'm always trying to take notes. At least in my mind, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's
and
good.
then you have like uh, the audiophiliac, and I think he just holds up a iPhone, and Steve Gutenberg. He's like, "Hi,
Right.
everybody, what's going on?" So, I
I
don't know.
know.
There's different styles for everybody.
Yeah. Whatever
Cool.
works.
Well, as I always say, the best video that you can make is the video that you actually make.
Yep.
As
And
long
that
as
you
you put
enjoy
out,
making.
yeah, as long as you put the content out, that's better than not putting the content out. And
Mhm.
you'll have people that watch it. As long as the audio is intelligible and people can understand it, the video part's not quite as important. Just as long as people can hear you, it's good to go.
Yeah, true.
All right, we are done. Thank you so much, everybody that's watching, that hung out with us. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll see you again next week, same time, same channel. And I forget off the top of my head who's coming next week, but I'm sure it will be a stunner of a show. Oh, Dune tickets for sale October 21st. You can get a sneak peek show at just about any theater that's going to show the movie, and I have my tickets for 6 p.m. on the 21st, that Friday,
Nice.
and I'm super excited. So I'll be talking about that obviously the Tuesday after. So I'm super pumped about this movie.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is. You have to see that in the theater if you can.
I agree. I think my experience will probably be better at home just from a technical point of view, but I think just for the experience,
Mhm.
Dune, go see it, support the franchise.
Yes.
All right, take care, everybody. See you guys next time.
Bye.